moving on to some more film-centric discussions. Just two questions I always ask each episode. What's your favorite movie or movies?
I'm all over the place. Actually, what's interesting is I have my webcam set so that I have like these two posters. One's a painting and one's like a movie poster. I have like a racer head here, and I have a painting of Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Okay.
Because director-wise, Edgar Wright is one of those like that's one that like kind of set the bells off in my head. Because I remember watching Shaun of the Dead when I was like 13, and that's still one of my like favorite movies to this day. I'm like, this is what it's like to make a movie. I love the meshing of like horror and comedy.
Yeah.
So that kind of combo. So you've got your like Sam Raimi's of the world and your Edgar Wrights,
right.
David Lynch. These directors and a lot of what they've done, I think, kind of like shape the way I kind of like, I'm like, this is the stuff that would be my go-to. I definitely like weird movies. Definitely, I like kind of ones that I can kind of shut my brain off for. Like one of my more guilty pleasure ones is like Tenacious D and the Pick of Destiny.
Okay, that's a good one.
Just because it's like anytime music gets involved and just it's so stupid. Their comedy and stuff where I'm just like, all right, bring it on. This is, I can just kind of shut my brain off for. But there's pretty much anything I can like kind of like turn off the overanalyzing for is good. And then if I turn it back on, I'm like, even better.
Exactly. Yeah.
But stuff like that, I'd say. I've been getting a kick out of. I haven't really been watching like new. I have not had time to like keep up with things. I definitely think I have gravitated more to shows and whatnot. I don't know if it counts as a movie, but
no, by all means.
Black Mirror's Bandersnatch.
Oh yeah. That counts as a movie. I think that show in itself counts as just a bunch of shorter movies. That's, I think, one of the best shows out there today.
Yeah, I've watched that whole series multiple times over. That is, like, I want to do, like, an analysis thing where I, like, do, like, each episode and just, like, go hardcore. But then I, like, see on YouTube people have already done it, and I'm like,
Well, I mean, there is always kind of that new perspective that people can bring to it. There's definitely there's always things that that other people may not have picked up on. So is Bandersnatch like your favorite overall episode of that? Well, I mean, it's not technically an episode, but is that your favorite Black Mirror story? Or do you have like a collection of like, these are my favorite episodes?
I think it's the most ambitious. I think it's, I think it's definitely like, because I just picture the script and the like story tree that had to be written out to make that happen. And it blows my mind. I think it's season 3 has the strongest series of episodes in my mind, because you've got that playtest one with the virtual reality, the horror story,
right?
You've got the I'm gonna jump right to the one that I like. Just twist wise, it's my favorite, and that's that Shut Up and Dance one.
Oh yeah.
The kid,
that one's amazing.
What I love about that show is the way they can, like, you can kind of figure out the twist. And it's like, it's obvious if you like know to look for it. But that was the one where I was like, it just went all over my head, and I had no idea that that's where it was gonna go.
Yeah,
and it's just, I love stuff like that where it's like you can see all the breadcrumbs and it can still fly under the radar.
Right.
And then, like, so every time I've rewatched it since, I'm just like, you pick up on those little things.
Yeah. I think another episode I think that did that really well is, I don't know if it was in season 3, but I don't remember all of them by name, but the one where it's the woman who wakes up in the like townhouse or whatever, and there's the people like all recording her with their phones and they're running around, and it's like meant to be like this post-apocalyptic world where like everyone, like something happened where everyone like is like glued to their phones except for a few people, but then like it gets revealed that that's not what's going on. That I love that episode a lot.
Yeah. I think that's called White Bear.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, because they reference that, in other kind of episodes, because now they've got the, like, shared all the episodes universe. Are in the same shared universe. Yeah. But that's a good one. I think that's season 2, but yeah, really strong stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I think they kind of overextended with the Bandersnatch thing, and I think the episodes that they released after that weren't as strong.
I remember hearing something somewhere where Bandersnatch was meant to be like an episode, but then they just got so ambitious with it that they figured, okay, let's take away some of the production and pre-production time from the next season, and we'll just channel it into this and make it like a movie. And I think it definitely shows because, I mean, for one, just the simple fact that there's less episodes, but I think content-wise, it just didn't measure up to previous seasons. Although I did really like the I think the strongest out of the 3 is the Striking Vipers one, like the VR like Mortal Kombat game. I really liked that episode. As weird as it is, but I liked that one.
Yeah, I didn't know how to feel about that for a while. I was like what? But it also makes perfect sense. Like if people had the capability to do that in like a game,
right?
I totally see that being the natural progression of the future.
Exactly.
So, and those are the best ones where it's like, it's kind of like taking those ideas or like a certain technology and taking it to the absolute extreme.
Right.
Because they've played around with, the VR stuff with like playtest and the USS Callaway, stuff like that. And then this was just like, this is probably what people would actually do with it.
That is one thing I'm glad about, is that it's just kind of a tangent off what you said, but I actually made the mistake of starting with the USS was it Callister or Callaway?
Oh, it might be Callister.
I think it's Callister. I started with that one, like the weird Star Trek parody episode, just because for whatever reason that's where Netflix like dropped me in, because I heard the show was good, and I was like, okay, let's see what this is about. And then I was like, oh man, well now we got to go back and watch season 1. And season 1 starts with, I think, arguably like the most ridiculous story they've ever done.
Yep.
And I was like, oh man, I'm really glad I started with season 4. I don't know if I'd been able to keep watching if this is where I started. But yeah, Black Mirror is such a great show.
When I was first recommended it, I like watched the first episode, and then I was like, what am I watching? And then I saw the second one, and that was so good, and I was like, it became one of my favorite episodes. And I was like, okay, now I understand the show. But like I was really skeptical to watch like the second episodes, just because I'm like, what is this? Why are people like raving about this so much?
Exactly, yeah. But I mean, I totally understand the hype. It's I don't know, if anyone out there who's listening to this hasn't seen Black Mirror yet, you should definitely go watch it. But don't start with season 1. I'd recommend starting with season 4 and then working your way backwards, and then maybe is it season 4, the one with Callister?
I think Callister starts with that's the start of season 4.
So yeah, whichever season has
does that mean there's 5 seasons
whichever
now?
season has USS Callister. Yeah, because I think the 5th one was the weakest one, but I think that they had said that that what they were planning on doing, because for a while it was 3 episodes per season, and then they upped it to like 6, I think, for season 3 and 4. But then they mentioned something about after Bandersnatch and after season 5 came out that they might move back to the 3-episode format, just because it's quicker to produce, and people are apparently so hungry for more Black Mirror that they might opt for that strategy. But either way, I'm excited for a new season. It's I think the most innovative show on television at the moment, or Netflix, wherever you can watch it. But yeah. So I guess moving on, the last kind of general question, we touched kind of on it, sort of a little bit earlier, but I think that anybody who wants to be involved in like media or filmmaking or video production, any sort of art form, really, they're kind of like inherently drawn to it. But one thing that I've noticed, because I watch a lot of interviews with like directors and cinematographers and editors and all that, and they oftentimes will cite one specific moment or like one movie that they saw that made them think, no, that's what I want to do. That's for sure what I want to do in my life. I keep on saying in each episode, for me, that was when I saw Kevin Smith's Red State back in high school. So do you have a moment like that made you realize, no, yeah, I want to get involved in filmmaking. I want to work with cameras and video production and all that?
Definitely, the earliest memory is watching Shaun of the Dead. My dad had like rented it from Blockbuster, and so for that whole time period that we had it of that rental period, I must have just had it on repeat, watching it, kind of thing. That's a big movie for me, and that was probably when I started, kind of asking for like a camera, and I got like a little like flip camera that had like the USB there, and then I like got like a camcorder, and then I was like making, cause I want to say, and this is like cringeworthy times, and I don't think I have a copy of any of this anymore. So
okay, so no shame in it now.
Yeah, exactly. But before even before I had the little flip thing, and so this is probably around the time that I got Shaun of the Dead and it became a big thing. Mm-hmm. But I have a bunch of stuffed animals because I love playing like claw machines. Right. I always have, kind of thing. And I had this little camera that was, probably not even like palm size. It's tiny, not good pictures whatsoever. But I would set up my stuffed animals in like different like positions and stuff, take a picture, and then I would kind of like narrate the story that was happening. So it was almost like a really bad like stop motion kind of thing. Yeah. So just like jump from the action. And then I had a little keychain cow that would like moo and stuff when you pressed it. I might still have it, and I'll look for it later. But I'd press it, and I think I like called it like Moo Moo Productions or something. And so I had this series, and I think I did like 10 of them as a kid. And I couldn't have been more than like 12 or 13. But it was probably around that time that I started doing that, because I would get like, for whatever reason, there would be like specific movies that I would just get like attached to, and I would watch over and over and over again. And that's one of the earliest ones I had, and probably when I was like, I want to do fun stuff too. 'Cause I was in like full cringe mode on YouTube at that moment in time, because I think
everybody who is like doing videos nowadays was doing full cringe mode YouTube.
Yeah,
back in the day.
Yeah, I had like an anime channel where I was doing those like AMVs. Right. So I had like a cracked Sony Vegas, and I was just like editing these to like my like favorite music of like 2007 or whatever. But that was, I'd say, probably the Shaun of the Dead is when I was like, I want to do fun stuff like that too. And then a combination of that, and honestly just being raised in the kind of time when YouTube was starting to be what YouTube is, but it was in such a larval form to what it is now. Right. I think yeah, that's probably what inspired me to do all that weird stuff, and now I want to watch it for the novel value, but
exactly, yeah.
But it must never see the light of day.
Right. I mean, and it's weird too, because I mean, like, I think that we kind of feel like, I touched on this in another episode, but I think that we kind of feel like that about like our YouTube things, and that kind of feels acceptable to us. But when you scale it up, I mean, like Steven Spielberg must hate watching Jaws. Like he must cringe so hard whenever whenever someone's like, "Oh man, Jaws is my favorite movie," he's like, "Ah, my God, don't talk about what my young man's projects like." But it's I think that is kind of like an inherent thing that we all kind of come to hate our work eventually. But there is some charm in it still.
I was just gonna say, I think there's a weird curve where really old stuff is like that adorable cringe, where it's, you know, I hate it for, you know, obviously I don't know what I'm doing. Like I have things where I like played around with, like I tried to get better at the stop motion. I tried to like, you know, have more storytelling things, and you could see that progression. And there's that amateur, you know, like, oh, it's just a kid, it's kind of, you know, fun. And then it's like, as I got more serious and started taking classes, I feel like I hate that work for like a completely different reason, because now I'm like, I should have known better not to try and do that, or not to be like overly ambitious or, you know, whatnot.
Right.
Because it's like, I'm like working with no budget, you know, no pre-planning, you know, that I still need to teach myself to be better at pre-production.
Yeah.
You know? So, but yeah, I think now I'm like more critical because now I know what I should have been doing.
Right.
So I think there was definitely a line where it's like, you know, like 3 or 4 years ago, I started being like, okay, going forward, this work is judged more critically than work that before I knew what I was doing. So I hate them in different ways. But it's still hard to like not watch something that you did and be like, okay, that's still cool that I did that. So
yeah. There is still some sense of pride in all of it.